Welcome, my friends. Thank you for joining me for another relaxing session of letting go of our neck and shoulders using the snake and turtle Qigong set as a foundation. This is a fantastic little tool that I recommend adding to your healing toolbox. There are a zillion variations of it, some of them that shake in larger movements or that alternate intermittently, or they swing your legs in different patterns. And of course, you'd have to find the one that suits you the best, and that is within your price range. This one was very inexpensive. And it's primarily used in my clinic as a way to help people soften with their hips and lower back, perhaps. It would be helpful with their difficult leg circulation. But for our sake, of course, we want to pay attention to how much it's helpful with the neck and shoulders and the upper back. As you can see, my head is actually shaking from side to side. If I'm too tight, of course, it freezes and the movement is not able to find its way through, just like with our Qigong practice. But as soon as I relax, you can see my head beginning to wobble and my shoulders shaking a little bit, my upper spine. And machines that use a longer swinging arm movement, of course, would do even more of that. And so, highly recommend checking this out. For those people who do have extra discomfort and pain, or your bodies are particularly fragile, please do be careful, because I've found within the clinic that sometimes people that are using it too vigorously, they will actually have a spasm, or their bodies will tighten up in response to the movement. So you can use the little dial and turn it way down to make the movement very small and gentle. And that can often be even more helpful for people that are feeling particularly delicate or are already caught in a pain pattern loop. You don't want anything to make it worse. So, highly recommended. In the meantime, of course, settling into this comfortable, basic standing position. Softening your neck and shoulders. Allowing your arms to hang. Your hips settling back and down as though sitting into the posture just slightly, even just a centimeter or so. Just enough to unlock the hips, the knees, the ankles. Take your time to unclench. Let everything open. As usual, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a series based upon a lot of other practice that we gain through this Qigong practice series that you can follow the links for down below. Things are always a bit more difficult if you try to start in the middle. And for the rest of us, simply allowing your body to fall open in the most comfortable way. Paying particular attention to the release of the tops of your shoulders, the hang of your elbows, your wrists releasing to your fingertips. Feel the tops of your shoulders release. This point, Jianjing, the shoulder well, the very top center of the shoulder, allowing them to fall open. Similarly, the point just at the crook of the elbow here, the bend on the top, the center of that musculature. You see this point? This falling open allows this to release the elbow, the wrist, the hand is softening. Letting go of the center of your hand, palm releasing open. And when you're ready, allow the hands to drift up to cover your navel. Allow your awareness to settle into that space, deep to your navel. And then gentle circles, spiraling outward. Both directions. Once again, settling inside. And because some of you have asked about it, if you are somebody who feels as though you are more yang on the outside and yin on the inside, then you would start your movements up the left, down the right, which is what I do. If you're somebody who feels that you're more yin on the outside and yang on the inside, then you would do the opposite, up on the right, down on the left, and then changing directions halfway through. I hope that's helpful, but it's not that important. Let's do a little bit of softening the shoulders, left and right, yin and yang balancing. Falling through, letting go. The more you can let go, the better. With the sense that the small finger falls to the heel. That way you're not collapsing forward. It's too easy to come this way. Letting go, your arms lengthening. And again, today, paying special attention to the elbows. We're going to work on releasing the elbows, not just in the way that we've talked about before, where the elbows lengthen outward away from the shoulder, but rather allowing the elbows to be quiet and to avoid using them to inhibit the movement through your neck and shoulders. And then gently softening the sides of the neck. Remember to lengthen. Releasing and lengthening. And then spend a moment warming up your lower back. Softening. Remember that if this is painful on your wrists or your shoulders, you can use the eye of the fist or the back of your hand. Without hunching forward, just softening your back. And then let's begin to release. Lengthening side to side, softening long, releasing down through your leg. Snake softening its sides, waving side to side. Leading with the fingertips. So one of the things I'd like to talk about is the tendency that people have to lead with their elbows somehow, as though their elbows want to sink first. Instead, allow your elbows to stay out of it. Lead with the fingertips. Elbows are quiet, sinking and settling down. Don't let them flare out. Try not to hang on to them, causing extra tension. Tapering off. So even here, perhaps you notice if you pull down with your elbows, which shortens this movement. Instead, allow the elbows to stay soft and long and let the hands settle down. The elbows are quiet in between the shoulders and the hands. And here, don't clamp down with your elbows. Let them stay open to the sides. And then when you're ready, opening up the pelvis as usual, gentle circles, softening the space in the front, releasing your lower back. Allow your arms and shoulders to hang, your elbows hang, both directions. And then the larger circles. Easy and comfortable. Both directions. Paying attention to those corners that you might be cutting off. Allow a full release. Remember that the movement is coming not through tension, but through letting go. Get better and better at this process of letting go. Become an expert at it. And then, softening the neck. Feeling that release all the way down toward your feet. Returning to the center, starting small, changing directions. You can make the movements much smaller than I am. Remember that I tend to make things a bit larger for the sake of the small screens people have. And then, looking down between the feet, remember to lengthen not just the base of the neck, but also the top of the neck that meets near the skull. And then we'll gently look up and down, softening from the base of the throat to the top of the neck, top of the throat. Releasing your jaw. Wonderful. If your mind wanders away, simply bring it back. Gently releasing the agitation of your mind. Let's do some shoulder circling. One foot in front. Allow that back shoulder to circle, just as usual here. Palm forward, palm facing toward you. The weight pouring from one leg to the other, releasing the empty hip and leg. Turning your waist slightly, one side stabilized so you can open and close. But most important, of course, is this quality of letting go of the back, letting go of the rib side, softening the front of the shoulder, releasing the top of the shoulder, so that the entire movement, at least in part at this stage, comes from release, comes from opening. By this point, at this stage of your practice, you should be experiencing at least some of that letting go, both directions. Paying attention to this softening around the elbow. You'll notice yourself perhaps wanting to lift and sort of push your elbow around. This is something that compresses into the shoulder. So allow the wrist to hang and the elbow to be quiet in between the shoulder and the hand. Both sides, just like usual, falling open. Both directions. both sides, falling open. Again, notice that tendency to want to lead with your elbows, and instead allow these full, comfortable circles. Soften from the shoulder, your upper arm, through the elbow, your forearm, your wrist, your hands, all the way to your fingertips. Both directions. And then alternating, letting go, letting go. Softer and easier is better. Again, notice the tendency to want to lead with your elbows, which will actually close the shoulders, and instead let this hang open. Fall around the circle. Notice how much softer you feel. Your mind gathers peacefully in one place. More comfortable with each passing moment. So just as a reminder, for the people that have been practicing for a while with me now, you've heard me talk about this opening that happens as your body is able to let go. So as the joints fall open, there's space in the body, space between the joints, through the soft tissue. Everything expands as you release the contraction. And in that spaciousness, within that expansion, you can find this softening and lengthening through the body, this gentle releasing open. Ideally, first we notice it in the neck, and the top of the head releases upward. We notice it through the shoulders as the hands release outward. It's the reason why we emphasize starting these practices with the neck and shoulders, even if people are complaining about their knees. First, we have to find our way through here. The next thing we'll do is find our way through the hips and the legs before we even try to decompress the torso, because the torso has to have some place to release too. So we start here. And just remember that even as you do basic standing practice, which you should be practicing every day, that as you let go and you begin to feel that sense of opening and softening, not a thing you're adding, it's simply from release, that release itself is actually enough to hold you up. It becomes buoyant enough to fill your body and to suspend this quality of uprightness, this capacity to be here and settled simply by letting go. The same thing will happen with your mind, simply by letting go and allowing that spacious awareness to be the normal way of acting in the world. Then that becomes the new space within which you get to exist. And so as we practice, constantly coming back to this quiet internal space, but also externally as well through your body. Find that sense of spaciousness just from letting go, and see if you can allow that to be enough to hold you up, and even enough to create and move your body through these actions. These are stages we go through, But these are the basic practices of Qigong. This is the direction to take our practice. And then these abilities eventually gather together to create more interesting ways to practice. But we have to start here. And so if you're still going through your movements, kind of pushing and pulling on your body, trying to force yourself to be a certain way and to get these done, maybe you go double speed. You have to let all that go to allow this newer capacity, this newer possibility to arise through our practice. So let's do some further releasing of the neck. We can start by looking left and right. Over the top, back and down. Releasing forward, and then again. Notice your tendency to pull with your elbows, and instead allow them, as usual, to fall open. They're just releasing. That opposite hip also falling open. So the opposite hip, the opposite shoulder, space beneath the collarbone, side of the neck and the throat, all opening. And then let's do the down and up version. Letting go. Allowing that softness to accumulate in your tissues. Returning to center. Let's do the tech neck movement. Make sure your shoulders are soft, hands gently behind the head, if that's comfortable. Gently releasing lengthwise, and then horizontally. Just like normal. Remember that we're not trying to use force here, although you are engaging the musculature in the back of the neck slightly. We're looking to correct the very common lines of tension and frozen soft tissue here. And then falling open along the side of the body, releasing the wrists and elbows, the hands fall straight. Stand for a moment to relax. So as most of you know, I'm constantly going on these long retreats at the Taoist Center. You're welcome to visit here anytime, Qigong Taoist Monastery. Wonderful place to train. And we had a woman come. She had done some Qigong before, but not our practices. And my instructor was demonstrating this practice for the first time. And he did mention that she should be careful and not to try too hard. But of course, people don't know what it means to be soft and gentle when they first begin practice. So even though she had said she had a lot of experience, clearly her experience hadn't included practicing being soft and gentle. And so the very next day after doing that practice, her neck was so stiff and her shoulders were so stiff that she had to leave the retreat entirely. She was in too much pain. And so please be gentle. And if you share this with your friends who deal with this tech neck issue and you're trying to help them correct that, don't have them push too hard, too fast. Start with 1 repetition and then the next day 2, just to make certain you don't have that bad reaction because it is a really delicate area. I just want to remind everybody. So again, hands behind the head, gently pushing from side to side. Use the heel of your hand to help your head move. Gently releasing on the sides. Gently increasing the range of motion without pressure or force. Shoulders stay soft. And then releasing down. Once again, shoulders sinking down the back, shoulder blades sliding down, hands behind the head. You can lace your fingers if you'd like, and gently looking up and down. That very light pressure on the back of the head. This should feel like nearly nothing. Not like you're going to the gym. Increasing strength, but not tension. And again. And one more of these. Let's go ahead and lengthen upward and put the hands on top of the head. If you'd like, again, to interlace your fingers, that's okay. Gentle pressure on top of the head, moving down toward the feet. Don't let your neck collapse. And then expanding upward. Down. Don't pull with your elbows. Just let the weight of the hands rest on the head. Up. Just doing 5 of these. You can do more or less, dependent upon your level of relaxation. That ability to expand that I'm talking about, that lengthening of the neck, that's what you're pressing into here. You're not trying to compress the musculature or force anything open. You're simply lightly challenging that expansion quality. That's why we don't want to use too much force, or we force the backup systems of tension and strain to come into play. We don't want that. We want to simply engage this expansiveness through the whole body. Let's go ahead and do the frozen shoulder movement as well. So I'll look to my right hand touches my left ear, and then I look to my left. Lengthening outward at the end. Melanie finds these movements incredibly helpful. And so if you're like her, then spend some extra time with these. As with any of our practices, when you find the ones that really work for you, do extra. Take your time, go slow. Feels good. Let's do the left and right movement. As best you're able to. Get a bit closer. I know this can be confusing for people to watch. Make sure that you're not leaning your head or looking from side to side. Maintaining this straight on quality, verticality of the head. Don't use force, we're just letting go. And then gently shaking out from the top down. Do these releases until you feel any tension that may have been gathering. Let go. Your mind gathers, Keep your elbows soft. Allow your breath to be easy. Always take the time to settle before moving on. Let's extend around the circle, lengthening without compressing. And then very gently, when you're ready, beginning to involve the rest of the spine. Allow that waving movement to travel forward. Notice again your elbows. Are you pulling on your elbows, or are you letting them be free and empty, quiet? Shoulders are quiet, your elbows are quiet. You're allowing this movement to travel through to the fingertips, to the top of the head. And then tapering off when you're ready. Wonderful. So let's do a little extra releasing. This hand floats up, shoulder blade sinks down, thumb comes behind the head, if that's comfortable for you, and down. It's okay if it needs to come in front, because that's the limit of your shoulder rotation. That's okay if it needs to do this. But over time, the natural inclination as your hips release and your shoulders soften is for this movement to come behind the head. But do not push your head forward to make it fit. That's defeating the point. Just notice this position as it travels around and through. Should be a release, relieving for your body. Wonderful. Always make sure you take the time to settle when you're feeling unsettled. Let's do a little bit of the third 八的纹筋 up the middle, lengthening, fall away, softening down and through. Coming up the middle. Make sure you make this full circle with the shoulder. Shoulder blade slides down the back, softening down. Whichever side feels like it needs it more, do one more. Let's do closing one more time. One thing I've noticed is that the people I've been working with tend to have difficulty settling, and settling is primary. And to answer another common question I've been getting is, with the basic meditation practice, the quiet sitting practice, for instance, where we simply practice being quiet and present, doing nothing else, you would do that practice until you are able to just sit quietly without trying or needing to be something, allowing that part of you to come to a rest, which is always agitated. Because if you take that part of you in to the sitting practice with you, and you start trying to do practices while sitting, all you're doing is creating a more and more agitated practice, and it never goes anywhere. And so you first have to let go of that part of you which is doing this all the time. And so you would practice that simple, quiet sitting practice until you achieve that. Then you move to the next stage, having left all that stuff behind. Similarly with this practice, you would do, for instance, the shoulder releasing series until your shoulders are released, at least to a relative level. And pretty simple. And similarly, you would close and do this closing practice until you're able to feel a kind of settling through. If when you're here, all you're noticing is this constant kind of agitation, then it's probably better to go back to the more basic practices that I teach earlier in the series, not this 100-day series, but the overall snake and turtle series, to help develop that ability to settle, like the turtle standing in the rain practice that I teach, for instance. And so as you practice and you're standing here, make sure that you don't skip the actual settling part. Or again, your whole practice becomes unsettled. It's pretty obvious. So take the time that you need. Don't skip. It's one of the most common problems I see over and over again. And so I have to keep saying it. Don't skip. Do the practice until you get the result that you need. Don't lead with the elbows here. The hand floats up. The hand floats down. Don't pull your elbow down. Don't lead with the elbows here. Lead with the hand. And sinks. Gently releasing in any way that feels good and correct in the moment. Lead with the hands, the elbows stay quiet. Let's do it one more time on both sides. Softening open. Don't let your elbow pull in front. Position your back shoulder so that you're able to release the shoulder blade the best. There's a lot of different possible positions for your hand and shoulder to be in. Find the one that feels most appropriate and most relieving for the moment. Listen to your body. Closing when you're done. Waiting for that sense of settling. Don't skip. I was going to make the elbows the theme today, but maybe not skipping is the theme for today. Take the time to develop the basics if you want good Qigong skill or meditation skill. In the end, they're the same. Let's do some emperor penguin circles. Here, you can lead with your elbows. But not in the way that we pull and push on them, but rather we continue to lengthen through the shoulders like we talked about. We're still lengthening all the way around to the hands, but that it's okay for the elbows to lead the movement. Very exciting. Both directions. Make sure not to lean back or forward. Crown of the head follows. Don't pull with your elbows. And then, Phoenix opens its wings. Don't lean back. Careful not to pull your elbows down, or you won't have the chance to open your chest. The forearms, the backs of the wrists sink. Letting go. Letting go. One side then the other. Changing feet. Whichever foot is in front, that hand tends to fall in the front. Chest lifts, chest sinks. Shoulder blades slide down the back. Neck, tops of the shoulders fall open. And then lead with the hand, fingertips. Notice what happens here if I lead with my elbow. And now I can't get there. But if I lead with my fingers, then this gets to unfold and unwind. Unfold and unwind. Elbows quiet rather than lifting up. Shoulder blade slides down. Chest sinks. Chest opens. Same thing on both sides. Fingertips. Letting go. Lengthening through your arms to your fingertips. Do the same with your hips. Soften your neck, then step out. Don't pull your head down. And then drawing closed in the front. It's as though your elbows move toward each other around a cylinder. Palms turn forward, pushing forward around the cylinder. Elbows a little higher than the shoulders so that you can soften over the top. Shoulder blades slide down the back, circling around, just like usual. Following. If I pull my elbow back again, if I lead with my elbows, then I never have the chance to open my chest and open my back because my elbows use up the motion and I end up behind my back. So instead, lead with your hands open, sliding around the circle. Elbows are quiet as they slide down. Lead with the fingertips. Don't pull your elbows in. And again. Softening down. Opening. So as you open here, allow the hands to lead. Pulling open the chest without closing your back. Shoulder blades slide down. Take your time. Allow the breath to flow freely as you open and close. And then settling. Make certain there's nothing being held up before you move into white snake. One foot in front, as usual. So what happens here if I lead with my elbows on the way down? And now I can't get my hand to go around the circle. I have to lead with my hand. My elbow just follows as I come up. Same thing as I fall down. If I, instead of falling around the circle, I lead with my elbow, I end up cutting off the circle. So both times, lead with the hands, not with the elbows. Both sides. Remember that you can pour your weight from side to side. And in the later series, the next 100 will be for the lower body, the hips, the legs. And so we'll actually do this movement and include stepping. And so if you feel like practicing that a little bit, as long as it doesn't interfere with your upper body movement, that's perfectly okay. A lot of variations to the Snake and Turtle series. It's really wonderful. Notice how much more open you already feel. Always consolidating. Wonderful. Feels good. So let's do a little bit of the competing dragons movement. Back of the hand slides down. Lead with the hand on the way up. Once again, if I pull down my elbow, so my hand, there's no space for my hand to come through, the movement becomes impossible. So the elbow just follows along. Fingertips first, the elbow just trails after. Shoulder softens, lengthening around. Same thing here. Don't lift your elbow. So many ways to let the elbow get in the way. All it wants to do is follow quietly. Same thing on both sides. Release that hip, release the waist, soften the shoulders, neck. Letting go here. And then when you're ready, you can start to do both sides. Hopefully by now you've got these movements figured out. Comfortable and easy movements. Let's try the flower hiding beneath the leaf. Once again, let me do it wrong by pulling my elbow and trying to move my elbow first somehow, instead of letting the fingertips slide forward and the elbow just follows effortlessly. Same thing here. If I pull my elbow back, instead of letting my hand lead the arc around, notice how quiet the elbow is here. It's just allowing the movement to go through. Let's do the same on both sides. The elbows quietly letting the movement go through. Eventually, allowing the movement of the dantian to transfer all the way through. The whole body becomes one movement. We'll talk more about that later. And then, let's practice turning the waist a little bit. Turn the waist. Turn the waist without, say it with me, pulling with your elbow. Don't pull your elbow back. It'll stop whatever movement's coming next. Just turn your waist. It's okay if you only go as far as the front of the hip without twisting your knees, please. No knee movement, just turning your waist. Both sides. Elbows quiet. I like to do extra movements for the golden snake today because it's so good for helping the elbows release. As long as you are releasing your elbows. So let's do a little bit of the basic circles as well. Starting with the left hand here. And I want to keep the movements mostly centered in front. You can do them off to the side here if you want to emphasize more movement through the shoulders, making it a bit easier for the body to release. But if we do it here in front of the torso, hip, hip, shoulder, 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 hip, hip, shoulder, shoulder, then what you're doing is you're asking your body to move more. And since we're further into this practice, now we can ask more of you. But do notice, again, if I start to lead with my elbow, it becomes impossible to create the movement. So please continue allowing the fingertips to make their way forward. Elbows quiet. Both directions. Shoulder, shoulder, hip, hip. Close your body, open, close, open, close, open. Let's do the same on both sides. Once again, coming in, cross, opening. If this feels difficult, of course, remember to go back to the earlier videos. A lot of classes, especially in the group classes, we spent lots of time going over this particular exercise. Both directions. Elbows quiet, lead with your fingertips. If it's too difficult for you to do it here in front of the body, it is okay to try doing it out over here, off to the side where there's less impingement, less being asked of you. But if you're able to, by this stage, try here. It'll start to develop Shenfa, the body method, which we'll talk a lot more about in a couple series later. Let's do some golden snake. Once again, let's begin correctly. Lengthen outward, soften your hips, release your neck so that we're not shortening. If you step and shorten into it, then everything that comes after it will be broken. So first lengthen, stay open. Stepping out, maintain that open state, softening inward, and then full comfortable circle. Feels good, especially by this point. Our bodies are so much more open. You're able to find your way through much more easily. Let's do an extra circle here. Circling around, turn the waist. We can turn back, opening. And what I want to demonstrate here is, again, if I do it wrong, if I'm trying to do this with my elbow, it's an interesting exercise, but you end up being stuck. And so don't pull with your elbow on the way back. As you lift, don't pull your elbow forward. Everything stays quiet. We open. No need to follow me if you already know the movement by now. But do pay attention. Don't lead with the elbow here. All the cross, open. Don't lead with the elbow. Let your fingertips reach across. Turn your waist around comfortable circles. Don't shorten with your elbow. Let the weight pour from side to side. Your hand can slip under or over the top. Either is okay. Leading with the hand. Always taking the time to settle first. What would it look like here to pull your elbows down so that you never have the chance to open your chest? Instead, hands open, the elbows are quiet, not locked, but allowing the movement to go through to the hands, all the way out, all the way back up into your belly. Both directions. Over the top. Lengthen. Soften your shoulder blades down the back. The elbows sink. Chest, solar plexus, belly. Everything settles quietly inside. Noticing that shift as things sink more easily. Let's do a little bit of softening the neck in this direction. falling through. Wonderful. Let's do of this 6th movement from the Badawanjin series. And slide around, very gently, softening down the back. Hips travel back, spine lengthening. Up the front, hips traveling forward. Don't lift with your back. Let's open front of the body for a moment. And then again. Very gently opening, not trying to stretch, trying to soften open. So here, again, this is a common problem. People will lead with their elbows on the way down, which sort of forces them to collapse and tighten up, instead of letting your fingers lengthen down. And then hips travel, arms are quiet, restful. And so as you soften down, however far you go, it doesn't matter. On the way up, same thing, don't lead with your elbows. Hands lead, hips travel forward. The weight falls through to the ground so you don't have to force yourself up. And then again. Take your time. Easy, comfortable. Let's just leave that one there today. Closing. I want to spend a little extra time with the swings and the closing and opening the heaven and the earth, the supporting the heaven and the earth. Hands floating up, palms turning down before they reach the heart. Shoulder blades sink down the back. Hands push up. Hands turn down. Don't pull the elbows down. Falling down and through. And the same thing. As they sink, softening down. Don't fall forward. Sink through your legs. Simply standing up, lead with the top of the head. Palms turning down. Shoulder blades sliding down. Don't lean back. Don't lead with your elbows. Hands float up. Soften your wrists. Soften through the elbow here. This held spot. Do as many as you need. I like that movement because of the way it helps to relieve that chronic tension we often tend to have. Your awareness all the way up to the lower back, forward into the center. Let your mind pass through the Mingmen, point opposite the navel and the lower back. Keep your legs soft, your hips, your glutes soft. Closing. The weight falling through to your hands. And again, you can try doing it wrong by sort of pulling on your elbows. And you'll see people doing versions like this. And so just let the arms allow the weight to fall through to the hands instead. Some of you may have already heard this story, but if I don't do this practice for at least 15 minutes a week or so, I start to develop pain in an old elbow injury, a broken joint from when I was a very young kid. Fell out of a tree. And it's really remarkable that usually right around 10 or 15 minutes, there will be a buildup and then a tremendous pop in my elbow. And a kind of stiffness that I hadn't realized was building up is suddenly gone. And in all of the movements and practices that I've done, this is the only one that seems to get to that elbow injury. And so speaking of the elbows, this one in particular, if you're somebody that has elbow discomfort and this is not too painful for you, highly recommended from my own experience. But it does take a lot longer than the few minutes we're spending in this form to practice it. So maybe the next time you're watching a movie or you're just hanging out with friends, and they don't mind you spinning around like this for 15 minutes or so, give it a try. See how it helps. But for now, just within our limited time span here, settling into this comfortable basic posture as usual. Whole body, mind quiet. Some extra attention paid to the deep bone structure in your body. And especially, just for today, the elbows. Don't squeeze your mind, just with a very casual interest, paying attention. When you're ready, let's do a bit of shaking. effortless as possible so that you're not adding tension back in. You're just shaking out. And then through the hips. There are lots of different shaking practices. You want to find the ones that help you the most. Through the shoulders. For those of you that are having great shoulder pain, of course, you want to do this extra slowly. Or perhaps if you're having tender breast tissue, take your time. Don't cause yourself pain. Letting the movement go through your arms, particularly through your elbows. Spinning as well as shaking, whichever works best. You can try spinning around that little finger. Little finger as the axis. An interesting way to interact with the elbows. Again, letting that movement go through, outward. Notice if you're tightening your elbows or clenching your arms. Feels good. Warming up your hands. Hands resting on your eyes. That heat soaking in a little bit. Very gently massaging over your face, your ears, and your scalp. Back of the neck. Especially the base of the neck there. But anywhere that you have tension or soreness, or a sense of cold. Be careful with my mic here. And then take the extra time to relieve all the way down the back of the arm, front, sides. This spot in particular, again, at the crook of the elbow here, large intestine 11, 10, 11 here. You can spend some time settling your fingers into those points as you move, relieving any excess tension there. Ooh, my elbow just popped. So this is very helpful practice. I've had an unreasonable number of injuries in my body doing martial arts over the years, and so it's always nice to take extra care. You might notice if you have spaces of holding around your elbows, your forearms. Nice to give them the care that they deserve. soften down your body. Take your time. Any spaces that you need extra attention, by now you've gotten to know. Washing all the way down through your feet. Leading with your hands, of course. Up the outside, down the inside. You could spend extra time if you have circulatory issues here through your arms, just since that's our emphasis today. Just because it feels good. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate you joining me. Remember to do a little bit of extra homework around your elbows today. Pay attention to those times when you tend to move with your elbows instead of with your hands. If you reach for a glass and the first thing you do is this before you try to get your glass, then clearly this is going to lead to more tension in your neck and shoulders. The movement's getting stifled and stuck before it even starts. So instead, lead with your hands. You do the same thing if you're a martial artist and you try to lead with your elbow, you're going to telegraph your movement quite a lot. So it's a useful habit in every instance to train your body to lead with your hands when it's necessary. And it will help to disentangle all of this tension and pain that you might have been developing. So you take your time. That's your homework. Thank you, my friends. Enjoy your practice.